So today we're here with Richard from Garmin, and we're going to be talking about two new devices in their range, the 130 Plus and the 1030 Plus, both in the Edge range. Richard, thank you for joining us today. Kicking off, what have we got new from Garmin? Can you explain a little bit more about these two very exciting devices?
Yeah, hi Dan. Thanks for having me. So let's say we're talking about the 1030 Plus and the 130 Plus today. So the latest releases in the Edge range of cycling with GPS. So kind of the main differences between the two is the 130 Plus is just bringing new features to that kind of tried and tested, really small form factor that's kind of been out for a couple of years with the 130. Bringing in things like mountain bike features, so the mountain bike metrics, grit and flow, incident detection, so keeping you safer out on the roads if there is something that happens, and then a simplified setup as well with the Garmin Connect mobile, so getting kind of you out on the road within a couple of minutes for a setup. And then 1030 Plus is just kind of the pinnacle in our GPS range. Obviously, it's come through that generational thing of the Edge 1000 to the 1030, and now kind of updating to the Plus. So improvements in the mapping and the routing options available. Being able to pause it when you're out on a ride and deviate to the cafe and then rejoin the ride, but actually have an intelligent piece so you get to choose how you rejoin, which I'll cover off a bit later. More kind of integration with different types of riding, with kind of gravel and mountain bike as well, with the resurgence of those kind of categories. Bigger, better memory, better battery life, improvements in the processor. So yeah, just kind of an overall upgrade of that entire device, and bringing it up to the kind of where it should be at the top of the range.
Yeah, I think one area you touched on there was disciplines which are really seeing a boom at the moment. The gravel market, the mountain bike market, and also indoor cycling. How have you kind of catered for those? You touched on there's some real advancements when it comes to, say, the mountain bike routing and the features as well mountain bikers can enjoy.
Yeah, so obviously kind of with mountain bike, we've got a few features with like jump count, which kind of records how many jumps you do, where you do them, how long they are, how high you go, which for me, and you're more of a roadie and triathlete, you don't do mountain biking, but it's always interesting to see when you do go off the ground. But I leave that for people that bounce back when they crash, which seems to be what I do when I try it. No, just kind of, then you've got the grit and flow. So two features which can put a metric onto your mountain bike ride or your gravel ride that actually show, if we went for a ride down, we both have the same grit score if we did it together, because we're riding the same course. So the ascent, the descent, how many turns there are, the severity of those turns. It's kind of like you're skiing. So you get your blue run, your red run, your black run. It's grading that mountain bike ride, that off-road ride. But then our flow is, how did you as an individual kind of cover that course? So did you brake a lot into the corners? Where did you scrub off speed? We might have completely different flow profiles of how we actually kind of covered the course. And that kind of then can enable you to, if it's your local ride that you do, you can do it over and over again and see how you improve each time. Or if you're going to a mountain bike centre, you can do the run and then actually see data at the end of each run, like how you did it, and session it and go, right, I'm going to look at a particular part of the course or where you did that. And then in Garmin Connect Mobile, you can see that all afterwards on the map, color-coded, and you can actually kind of drill down into that detail, see where you kind of perhaps lost that speed compared to your friend, how they did different sections of the course. So yeah, many more features, which is all born out of, we're cyclists at Garmin. The engineers of cyclists actually came from an engineer who wanted that data themselves, so then went off and kind of built it into a product.
I was going to say, I mean, that as well as being cyclists yourselves, you have a huge customer base as well of very passionate cyclists. How important is it to get feedback from those guys when it comes to making new developments in your products?
Yeah, obviously, kind of first and foremost, to say we're passionate about what we do. Whichever kind of team we work in within Garmin, we kind of cover off whether you're running, whether you're cycling, whether you're mountaineering. The people building the products are actually kind of passionate about those features and what they want from the device. But then in terms of the setup, there's been an improvement in the setup. So if you're a new customer coming to Garmin, can be perhaps daunting with any electronics device when you get a new mobile phone or something like a laptop or something, learning how to use it. actually we've taken that setup process, taken surveys of thousands of users, and actually then designed the profiles and the data screens within that out of the box based on what other cyclists are using already. So it's kind of like the tried and tested favorites options out of the box will just be ready to go. So you'll be riding in a couple of minutes. But then if you're an existing customer, we've taken that data from your account. So actually, if you're coming up from, say, an Edge 820 and you're going up to a 1030 plus, we'll take your 820 settings and port them across to your new device automatically. So again, you're riding with your new device within a couple of minutes.
Perfect. No hassle when it comes to setting up. Just ready to go.
No,
that's brilliant.
Ready to go.
And another feature which is new is the Climb Pro feature as well. Would it be safe to say this is more road focused, or would you?
Yeah, it's obviously kind of a lot of road users will use it, but it's done obviously kind of on that course and that. So if you are going out and you're doing a climb, it doesn't matter if you're on or off road. It's still going to kind of bring it up, show you that kind of elevation profile, and that's actually one of the features that's trickled down into the 130 plus. So that's something that's brand new to that product. Just a grayscale gradient map of your current climb. I was out at the weekend and routed the 1030 plus to home, so I finished my ride a bit early, and actually it then showed me I had 3 kind of relatively big hills in the Cotswolds to get over before I could get home, so I knew how to place the effort back.
Perfect. No, it's like having a coach in this device as well, and that just a little bit of reassurance as well, especially if you are new or you're riding in an area which you are not so familiar with. Something also we were talking about is, as well as having the Garmin Connect, both these devices can connect to third-party apps. Can you explain how that happens and how easy it is to?
Yeah, it's really simple. So kind of we pair with so many different apps. There's actually kind of a web page on our site that kind of tells you, and that's constantly updated. But kind of all your big ones like Strava, Komoot, Trailforks, Train Peaks, Trainer Road, Zwift, Map My, whether it's Map My Run, Map My Ride, whichever one. The process depends on the site, whether it's from our side or from their side, which way you do it. But once you've done it once, that's it. And then there's a data flow in the back end straight away. And then things like, obviously, with Komoot and with Strava, with route planning, things like that, that's now a seamless process. So when you're starring that activity as one of your routes, it then just automatically syncs down to your device.
Perfect. Yeah, ideal. I think for many cyclists, seeing their route and seeing their ride straight afterwards on their app is very important. One thing, another key consideration, something Garmin. I remember an advert with Dan Martin a few years ago when we were talking about the safety and letting people know, your loved ones know where you are, and if you do come into any bother. Can you talk us about the safety features and that sort of notification situation you've got on these new devices?
Yeah, so awareness is a key part within our kind of our pillars of cycling. So obviously navigation is kind of where GPS was stemmed from originally. Obviously we've got all the performance features we do, which we talked about some of them. But awareness as a cyclist is really, really important to us. So whether that's things like using our lights, obviously kind of changing that, our cycling radar, as well, so you're more aware and the vehicles around you are more aware of you as well with the changing light patterns. But something that's come onto the 130 plus is incident detection, so adding some sensors into that head unit effectively, so if there is an impact, it automatically sends off a message to your predefined emergency contacts to let them know where you are exactly. It's that GPS location in real time, and that's now, because that's in the 130, it's in our entire range, because we just want people to be as safe as they can be out on the road. But then also with that, the live track feature is getting some improvements to it as well. So currently you can see where you've been in real time through that secure link. But if you load a course onto your device before you go out, it actually shows you where you're going as well. So somebody can kind of follow you if you kind of want to kind of make sure you've got that peace of mind out on the road or the trail.
Great. And another thing with all Garmin devices, clarity of the screen and usability of the devices is incredibly important, especially in winter or in conditions where you might be wearing gloves, or you want to make quick changes to maybe the profile on the screen really quickly. Can you explain a little bit more about both devices? I know the screens are going to be very different in size, but yeah, the technology behind those.
Yeah, so obviously kind of with the 130 plus, you've got that monochrome screen, really daylight readable, just black and white. It's really clear, great screen. But then with the 1030 plus, that's where we've seen the big improvement. So it's had complete new processors, more memory, and there's been updates to the screen responsiveness. So obviously, like you said, we're using it with gloves or with wet fingers in the UK. Dry rides are usually a rare thing. So there have been improvements with that coming across from kind of the 830 with the touchscreen. But I say we've kept the same kind of the 1030 screen. Obviously, the size is important, and then just how that is as a component screen. It's been designed around the battery usage as well, and also using it in lots and lots of different lighting conditions. So, like say, when you're out on the road, it's visible in those changing conditions.
Yeah, and I think a point you just touched on there, battery life. For all cyclists, probably the nightmare situation is running out of battery halfway through a ride, or constantly wondering when you need to change your charge your device, should I say. How have Garmin sort of tackled this? I understand there's a power pack situation going on.
Yeah, so devices on their own, if I kind of talk as kind of typical use, as it were, because obviously everyone's different, how many times they swipe through different screens, or which brightness level they pick, or how many sensors they've got paired to the device. Obviously all different things, just like using a phone or a computer is kind of a different draw on the battery. But within a 130 plus, you're going anywhere from 8 hours up to 12 hours in one single charge. So really, really strong battery life. And then with the 1030 plus, you're going from 24 to 48 hours on a single charge, depending on kind of which kind of configuration you use. So more than enough for most kind of single riders. But then there is the Garmin Charge battery pack on top of that. So the 1030 Plus has kind of in-charge capabilities. So you can plug that battery pack in directly to it as you ride, and obviously kind of boost it by another 20%, or sorry, 20 hours even.
Wow. So yeah, for whether you're going on a long single day ride or a multi-day event, you're gonna have enough charge there to keep you through.
Yeah, with 1030 plus, you don't have to worry about kind of turning things off or not using it to its full capability. On one charge, to say it's a phenomenal device.
So Richard, as a cyclist, we ultimately want to stay en route, and we want to ensure that we get the most out of our rides and we don't get lost ultimately. Can you tell us a little bit more about the routing functionality built into both these devices?
Yeah, so obviously with 130 plus, it's about kind of pre-planning your route and putting it onto the device. It's a breadcrumb trail that you follow. It gives you the kind of notifications when a turn's coming up, but you kind of have to stick to that breadcrumb. It's not got any preloaded maps on it. But then when you go to kind of the 530, 830 and 1030 plus, obviously it's full mapping on the devices. But the kind of key thing with 1030 plus is you can actually create routes on the device. So you can drop a pin in a map and it will work out the best route to get there. So perhaps you don't have time to fully plan out a ride before you go out, but you can just either drop a pin in a map or stick a postcode in, and it will work out a route to that. But you can also do things like the trendline popularity routing. So you can put in, I want to do 50k from here and I want to head south. As a rough ballpark. It will then look at all the rides that other people have done in the area for your discipline, so whether that's on-road, gravel, or a kind of a road ride, and it will pick out a couple of options for you based on those routes. So then you can kind of pick which one you want to do, and then it will kind of direct you around those routes as well.
We've talked about the 1030 being the ultimate device in Garmin's cycling range now. There's a lot of performance features added to this device to really enhance the ride, and for a lot of people, they're training and racing. Can you explain a little bit more about those features?
Yeah, so obviously kind of workouts on devices is something you can do workouts indoors or outdoors, depending obviously kind of which way you want to go. So pairing it with your smart trainer like your Tax, obviously kind of you get the best out of your indoor training. But then the 1030 Plus is actually an intelligent device, so it learns about what kind of training you're doing. And actually, if you haven't got a plan or you're new to training, it's got a daily suggested workout. So it looks at things like your training effect and your training status and your load, and actually then comes up with a kind of an option for what you should be doing. So I've been training with it for a couple of, well, a good few weeks now. And it's kind of saying, right, you need a rest day. Actually, no, you need a base training day. You need some VO2 max intervals. So it's coming up with a really variety of workouts that, let's say, if you're new to training and you're not quite sure, it's giving you an idea. And then also within Garmin Connect, there's going to be additions to the training plan builder. So again, there'll be some options in there for whatever kind of riding you're doing, and that will sync kind of a proper training plan down to your device as well for you to follow.
Brilliant. I mean, ultimately, it takes the guesswork out. Even if you are an experienced rider or you're new to the sport, you might not have a coach, but something like this is really going to give you that feedback you need. Another element of all Garmin devices, and something which you are market leaders in, is navigation. Can you tell us if there's been any developments with these products when it comes to navigation?
Yeah, so 1030 Plus is kind of going to have the latest 2020 mapping on it, so the cycle maps, full trail forks integration into that as well, so you've got the on and off road, but also you're going to, because it's a bigger memory device, you're going to have a wider preloaded map coverage. So actually for people buying it from yourselves in the UK, you're going to get the whole of Europe on and off road, as well as North America. So say if you're traveling, you can take your device with you, and obviously you can add in maps to that if you're going further afield. But then there's a lot of kind of within the routing itself. If you're kind of say out on a ride, you've got a course loaded, you can actually kind of pause your route now, nip off, find a cafe, or kind of go and see a friend or whatever you're doing, or kind of explore perhaps a new road that you think looks kind of interesting. And then kind of when you're done with that, you can hit resume. So that'll take you then back on to your kind of your normal course that you had planned in. But instead of taking you just straight back to where you left it, or kind of going back, doing a U-turn, it'll actually kind of come up with a couple of options for you. So you can say, yes, I want to go back to where I left, or do I want to join on at the next logical point, or actually, do I want to cut a bit off and kind of, I've wasted a bit of time, I need to kind of just get on with it and skip on to the next part of the course. So actually allowing you to kind of make some of those decisions rather than the device just taking over and redirecting you. And I say it kind of works really, really well. Perfect.
Richard, thank you very much. Both devices sound incredibly exciting. Looking forward to giving both of them a go, and I'm sure our customers will be too. You can buy both devices at Sigma Sports. For any more information, please speak to our customer care team, and we'll be happy to help you. Richard, thank you again.
Cheers, Dan. Bye.